Your new world as a full-time influencer, and why it's okay to be the new elite. Yeah, many people really do have a view that being an influencer is a noble art form full of creativity and romanticize the idea that you can be seen and elevated as a leader in your field because of your beauty and creativity. And that, of course, is absolutely true. But what we mustn't forget is that nearly 70% of all influencers choose to be influencers so they can earn money. Now, I don't mean this in some horrible capitalist way. I'm saying that it makes sense if you have a passion, if your desire is your subject matter, then why on earth would you not want to make a living by doing the very thing that you do? And surely that's been the place for artists and creatives throughout history, where many people have to get into the 9 to 5 just to pay their bills and get by. So the beautiful dream of combining both and being paid for what you love and being paid handsomely for what you love is very appealing. And I want to take these few minutes to talk to you about why that is not just a great desire, but why it's a really smart thing to do, and why you may have been fooling yourself. You don't need a large follower count to become a paid and influential influencer. And I want to show you exactly the components you need to take your situation that you're in right now with your existing social media and how you can accelerate that to be one of the new elite. So let's crack on and look at it. First of all, let's just take a small step back and ask ourselves why influencers became the new VIP celebrities. And yep, it's all text brands and pre-ad roll. It's technology, it's the shift between brands, and it's the ability to reach audiences that has really brought in this new industry of influencers. You see, as attention to traditional media and broadcast channels has declined over the last decades, it obviously has been replaced by attention moving online, social media, YouTube, blogs, the internet. And therefore, we've all seen that traditional methods of reaching audiences through advertising have also declined, from radio spot ads to TV ads to the Super Bowl. We've seen that there's been a movement towards the new areas because, as Gary V rightly says, you've got to see where the attention is, and the attention has moved mainly onto our mobile devices, though I think perhaps in a period of lockdown we may be using our larger screens perhaps a little more than we have been. Likewise, as celebrity sat with only a few thousand people worldwide in the 20th century, the glamorous film stars, the pop stars, the authors, so the democratization of celebrity through self-publishing has fragmented audiences and created a new form of celebrity, the influencer. What I mean by that is that audiences, certainly here in the UK, we used to have 4 or 5 TV channels, and only 2 of those really could have advertising. So advertisers had a captive audience, a wide demographic of people that watch TV. Now, through influencers, social media, niche and search, people can follow the things they care about. They silo themselves towards the information and entertainment that they like. And a great example of this could be the Sarconi Jolly family. Many of you will know them. Just a regular family, basically, that started to document their lives on YouTube. And now, they're getting about 1.8 million views per episode. That's more than most mainstream TV and radio. And all they're really doing is talking about life with their pets and children. So why can't you? Why can't you move into that? And so often we believe that it's all been about our follower count, that we didn't get in at the right time, that we have to buy followers, and it really isn't the case. Nothing perhaps shows the shift in money and power more to the new elite than the 2 rival YouTubers, PewDiePie and Jake Paul. Now, I say rival because they spat at each other every so often on social media. But they both are similar because they both had huge content deals with Disney. because of their initial internet fame. Both had, TV shows, and they were paid handsomely to create the content, not just for YouTube or Vine, but now for Disney themselves. But being the characters they are, they both had their deals severed independently for inappropriate behavior. The new world strikes back, right? But both of them, and this is where the story takes an unexpected turn, both of those characters went on to make many more millions. PewDiePie reportedly making $13 million in 2019 alone. Now, in the past, if a publisher like Disney canned you, if you were working in Hollywood and a major label or film brand canned you, well, that was your career over. These guys can be canned by Disney and go make even more money online. You see, the power has shifted, and I want to break that down and explain how that power shifted, and how, if you understand that, you can make a difference for yourself. Now, if you go onto Google Trends, it shows a comparable rise in influencer marketing at the same time as print advertising has been falling. So what I mean is, searches for the words influencer marketing actually drew ahead of those for print advertising in about the middle of 2017. And it's remained that way ever since. In other words, more people, more search is happening for the words influencer marketing than print advertising. And we've just heard, as part of this whole lockdown, that Kerrang! Magazine, the famous rock and roll magazine, has stopped producing print. Why? Well, because nowhere's open to sell it. So we're about to see an even more rapid advance towards digital than print than ever before, as we see this huge shift through the lockdowns throughout 2020. And so what we need to do is understand that if you want to get this new life, you have to understand that it's well worth getting. So before I break down to you exactly how we can get there and what building blocks need to be in place for you to move into this life, let's just take a second to work out why the influencer life is the new rock and roll, okay? Why it's the new celebrity. Well, first of all, you get a life where you can focus on creativity and the things you love all day. I mean, come on. Nobody really wants to grind out a crappy job that doesn't make them happy. We all want to do the things we love and getting paid for it. As an influencer, you even get paid not just for the things you create, but for just being you. So of course, that's a great way of spending your days. I think of Casey Neistat, one of the first YouTubers that really broke big into the mainstream world and became very wealthy through the sale of his businesses and his YouTube channel. And really, he just loves to create. So being paid millions for creating videos and content, and then still being able to spend amazing amounts of time with your family and your loved ones, well, it's hardly surprising people want to be full-time influencers. Also, it is, as I just said, you get paid handsomely for being you. And I think there's a subtlety here that some influencers miss, or some people trying to be influencers miss. That the point is, it isn't just what you're outputting. It's who you are. And the very, very VIP influencers that we'll move into shortly, these are people that create personal brands, not just the content and the businesses that they're pushing out on their channels. VIP levels achieves unprecedented luxury lifestyle. This is so true. Where, of course, the top level of influencers are often celebrities themselves, the Kylie Jenners of the world, the Rock. These people already have incredible lifestyles, and not just by being social media influencers, of course, because of their previous careers. But even in my own experience, when I was a city-based influencer for almost a decade, I got to the point of having luxuries and freebies and red carpet events and free gifts and brand deals. And it's an incredibly brilliant, luxurious lifestyle that you get when you can be the top of your game in your niche. Well, you also become a go-to person of influence that makes things happen. I mean, another draw to being an influencer isn't just the rewards, which are handsome, the way to live life on your own terms, which is great, but the fact that you can actually make change. And there are lots of influencers out there in their specific niche that maybe are beyond just hair, makeup, fashion, crafts, arts, but actually can influence and make real change. I mentioned Casey not long ago. He was able to raise over $150,000 in a day to help out his UPS postal guy, Marvin, because his sister was poorly and she needed help. He was able to use his channel to raise funds instantly, and has done many other things, from helping out people in third world countries to other causes close to his heart. And so when you have real power, it comes with real responsibility. And if you're driven by the fact that you want to make change, you've got to recognize that if no one's listening to you, if nobody is following, then you are never going to make change, only perhaps to yourself. If you want to make change and impact to those you love and the things you care about, then you'll need to wield influence and, inverted commas, power. And the people at the top of their game certainly have that to drive agendas of change and do good in their own eyes. It also, moving on to that, lets you impact the causes closest to your heart. When I had my niche following in the city, I was able to draw attention to things that mattered to me: the homeless situation, various charities that I was working close with, through video, through raising awareness in audiences, and driving traffic to the areas that were needed. So even as a niche or micro influencer, you can still make massive impact to those that perhaps can't reach audiences themselves, and certainly in relevant ways. So the recognition of status in your niche can drive people as well. The fact that being recognized as a leader, as a content creator, as an influencer, as somebody ahead of the curve, that can be a great driver and a real reason why people want to be an influencer. And there's nothing wrong with recognizing that if you want to be recognized for your creativity, if there's a drive within you to be able to be recognized for your creativity to be seen, for your message to be heard, for the things that you feel passionate about to resonate and be recognized and associated with those things, then being an influencer can be great. So the new world really is your oyster. And I mean new world almost in the new brave new world sense, which is that we are now moving into an accelerated time of online activity. Through lockdown, through changes in the economy, we are now seeing a move towards online e-com, influence and advertising that has never existed, even in the last 10 years of social media, Instagram and TikTok fame. This is really just the beginning, and an incredible way to look at moving for perhaps careers and from jobs that perhaps were holding you back or had no real relevance to the new world. Perhaps as there is a transition from those things, as they're shaken out in this market change, then this is the time for you as an individual to move into this new world and embrace it. So just looking at that, it's hardly surprising that the influencers are the new elite. But the question is, why would people pay you? Because of course, being an influencer and not getting paid is great. But remember, if you're doing something you enjoy and you're not getting paid, it's a hobby. If you're being paid for it, it's a job. If people are queuing up to pay for it and you can predict that those payments are coming in, it's a career or a business. And so what we want to do is realize, what is it that sets those influencers apart that move from being hobbyists to having full-time careers? And it's simply this. I call it the value gap. Influencers fix the gap left between brands, businesses, and traditional audiences. Where gaps are filled, value is created. And where there is value, there is revenue. Over the last 10 years, as new small businesses have emerged, they're not like businesses that used to happen 30, 40, 50 years ago or since industry started. No, small businesses can reach anywhere in the globe, and that's gone crazy with drop shipping and, virtual businesses. But the world has changed, and so influencers are one of the key ways in which new businesses can reach global audiences, perhaps when ad spend or PPC is out of their reach. working with those influencers to targeted audiences is by far one of the greatest way that businesses and brands can get their products and services to their audiences. And if you are that gap, if you are that conduit between your audience because they like the way that you present or the things you stand for, if your audiences follow you regardless of size, then the businesses and brands and causes that want to reach that audience will see you as having value. And it's value that brings revenue. And revenue is what makes this full-time and a business. Of course, what you have to do is be able to communicate effectively that value to brands, businesses, and good causes. And so we're left in a world now where really there are 5 types of influencers. There is the mega influencer. These are the social superstars. We know more than 1 million followers. These are often actual celebrities, the VIPs, the elite, the 1%, the ones that if you haven't made it yet, well, you're probably not going to have that global music career unless you are the talent of Justin Bieber and you have as much runway ahead of you in your life as your age determines. So for some, the honesty of being a global superstar passes, it lands in the few. But the benefits they get, the VIP, well, this is what most people don't realize. That can still be available to you. Then you've got the macro influencers. These are the influencers between 100,000 and 1 million followers. And again, not too many of those. And one of the things that is important to recognize is there are many accounts, many Instagram accounts, for instance, with over 100,000 followers. But often these have no face. They have no influencer. They are just curations of content from elsewhere on the internet. They may be a sporting page or a fashion page or a PC gamers page, but often there isn't a desirable, notable character of influence in the center. So having followers was perhaps over the last 10 years a really good way of making quick cash. You could put, you could display an ad on there, you could put a story up there, you could charge for it to be placed for an hour or so, and a whole industry built around it. But it didn't build influencers and it didn't build characters that people could buy into. And just like a James Bond franchise or just like Tony Stark, when people buy into a character, well, you can launch franchise after franchise after franchise. And so that's why being an influencer is so much better than just having an account with followers. So many people were able to pay for followers, hack followers, buy used accounts to try and make them look like they had influence. They didn't. They just had numbers and often very little engagement. The micro influencers, interestingly, this is someone who has between 1,000 and 100,000 followers that have grown it organically, where their following may be smaller. Their authority is often much higher, citing stats here. And 90% of all of the paid influencers sit in this category. So if you can get just over 1,000 followers, you can be sitting within this micro influencer category. When I had my city-based influencer brands, I had around 50,000 followers, so I sat right in the middle of this and was able to create a substantial lifestyle, 6 figures, all the freebie stuff that came with a VIP lifestyle, and I didn't have anything like a large follower count, and even the engaged followers perhaps only a couple of thousand out of that larger number. So certainly you don't need big numbers if you know what you're doing to get a full-time living out of this. And then the nano influencers, well, that's where most people start out, let's be honest, fewer than 1,000 followers, but you can have immense influence if it's not just your personal account, but you're going out with a message and creating content around your niche, and that is targeted to those people. Well, even having 1,000 followers can be incredible. For some of the brands that I created as part of my city influencer, I had different accounts. Some of the niche accounts only had a very small following, but those followers were highly engaged and could spend money. And that gave me power to negotiate with brands and businesses about reaching the audience that engaged me through that. So there are 5 types of influencer, and you can place yourself in that category. But what I really want to say, and this is what I've been alluding to, is what if you could become a paid VIP full-time influencer regardless of your follower count? What I mean by that is you get paid so you can build a career out of this, not just get the occasional brand endorsement or small rev share paycheck or affiliate deal. VIP, because I mean living a VIP lifestyle should you want it. Free stuff, holidays, red carpet, celebrity events, hosting events, tickets, festivals, backstage passes, whatever you define VIP as, you can have that. And you can have that on your own terms, full time, your time, on your terms, regardless of the size of your followers. Even if you're starting out with 0, what if you could make money from day one? Now, I'm not going to come up with some little trick here. I'm going to talk about 3 building blocks that you need. And if you have those things, you can literally become a full-time influencer the moment they are all in place. Let me talk to you very briefly on this last remaining slide of detail what these 3 things are. Well, first of all, you need to have an unforgettable personal brand. I said earlier about accounts that exist with just followers. Well, the brands have woken up to that. If your engagement is low, then you're not going to get brand deals. You're not going to be taken seriously, and you can't really hack quality engagement or by buying comments from some farm somewhere. No, what really matters is that people identify with you. The Tony Stark, the Kylie Jenner, the character that sits in the middle that they can relate to, either because you entertain, you inform, but certainly you are unforgettable and unreplicable. Nobody else can be you. You have such a strong frame, such a strong personality, that who you are is easily identifiable with the things that you stand for and what you do. And if brands, businesses, and good causes, along with your audience, can identify you in a crowded market as the person that they want to hear from, the authority in the niche, the go-to person, if you can create the unforgettable personal brand, then you have one of the building blocks that doesn't require large follower counts, that can start to create wealth and a VIP status regardless of the size of your social media following. In the good old days, this was called talent. But right now, you can actually take the tools at your disposal and you can learn and you can create an unforgettable personal brand and persona by taking very simple steps around speech, visual, language, and actions. And by implementing those things, you can build your personal brand. The second thing you're going to need to become a full-time paid VIP influencer, not shoes, is you're going to need unshakable assets. Now, this is where most influencers and creatives fall down. They are consumed with the content and the quality of content to the point that they forget about the tangible assets that are the building blocks of stability. What do I mean by these unshakable assets? Well, money, income. That is one. Making sure that there is a business and a business brain that underpins your personal brand and your activity. That you understand that you don't do stuff for free, except in exceptions where it helps accelerate your brand. You always know how to create value. And as I said right in the middle of this presentation, If you understand the value gap and you know how to connect brands to audiences through you, you will always get paid and have the conversation around payment. So the first of the assets is the value brand. The second of the assets are your digital assets. That is your brands online and your audiences and the people you reach. Your followers that are bought into your unforgettable personal brand are an asset in their own right. And like assets, you need to learn to monetize them, even if you only have a few. I had a list, as I said to you, as one of my personal brands. There were actually people interested in real estate and moving into the city. I used technology to identify those people, to build audiences. I marketed to them, and I used different digital marketing techniques to build a real qualified list of people looking to move into the city. Now, when you're moving into buy into the city and you're spending hundreds of thousands of pounds, maybe $500,000 on an apartment, and I have a list of people that are actively looking, that have gone through a qualification process and want to buy it and are listening to my advice, well, how hard do you think it is for me to go and get money from estate agents and realtors? It becomes easy because the value I bring is the asset that I hold, which is the qualified audience. So your digital assets become unshakable. And the third asset is how you distribute your personal brand, how you protect your personal brand through social media, digital channels, and marketing, and offline in the real world, and how you build that personal brand so that it gets in front of more and more of your audience. The control of the distribution of your personal brand is an asset that should be unshakable. That you're not just doing stuff to go TikTok viral because the latest trend is to do Dance Monkey on a fridge, and you just want to get the followers and the likes. No, you hold on to your personal brand, the integrity of your personal brand, your brand voice, your brand tone, and you make sure that it's placed in the right places, because that reinforces your unforgettable personal brand by making sure your brand does as your brand looks. And the third and final key component to moving towards a paid full-time VIP influencer is that you also want to be recognized as a change maker. You have to be able to be trusted as the person that can fix the value gap. You have to be those ladders between the pool and the outside, the connections between the brands, businesses, and causes, and the audiences, and the brands, businesses, and causes. And as you accelerate your influence, and as you become recognized as someone that can make people do things, can cause sales to happen, can influence people's behavior as well as just their attention, that when you have their attention, they are acting upon the things you're showing them and doing things. When you are seen as a change maker to the audiences and brands and businesses, then you become a key go-to person of influence. And if you can take that to the next level and connect brands, businesses, and causes with other brands, businesses, and causes, and be the conduit to fix that value gap, well, then you accelerate to a whole new world. And it's three fundamental pillars: the unforgettable personal brand, the unshakable assets, the business brains, the solid non-negotiables, and what you do with this that can create real change, real behavioral change, cause and effect, the things that you can do through the attention that you have and what you do with it. Well, these are the things that make you an influencer. If you look at these three things: unshakable assets, paid; unforgettable personal brand, VIP; and recognized as a change maker, influencer. These are the building blocks to becoming a paid, full-time VIP influencer in this brave new world. And that is what I want to talk to you about in the next slide presentation. I want to talk to you about how this happens and how it can happen for you. How you can take these things right now and decide, make a choice that you want to move into a new career path, a new way of making income, a new way of living, which is all about you doing the things you love, becoming a person of influence, having regular, constant income and living a lifestyle on your own terms. And that's why I would love you guys to take an action right now. So in order to make sure you don't miss out, I'd like you to click on the links in the description to make sure you're part of the VIP Influencer Academy, where we're going to be pushing out tons of new content. If you missed yesterday's content, then you saw that we did a podcast talking about how freelancers can make, the 100 ways freelancers can make money at this challenging time. And this new series that I'm providing you to is moving towards some elements that will help you accelerate your position as a full-time influencer. But before I show you how we're going to do it, let me show you tomorrow exactly what the world looks like, how it's happened to others, and how it can happen for you. So please do take an action right now. Click and join in the description. And until tomorrow, keep investing in you.